Hello there everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games and today we are talking more about the Switch 2 and why it really does feel like all signs are pointing to next week. Next week is the fated time of the reveal of the Switch successor. Let's talk about it. Alrighty, good afternoon everyone. Feeling a little under the weather today, so I apologize if my voice sounds a little nasally or something, but I wanted to talk today about some more rumors that have come up from some pretty interesting people regarding the reveal trailer for the Switch 2 and why it really is just starting to feel like all the pieces are falling into place for, if not a reveal next week, like a reveal very, very soon, like maybe first week of October, second week of October. We'll talk more about that, but I'm still on board for next week. If you've missed a lot of my videos, I'm sure I can catch you up really quick here. Basically, the idea is Nintendo kind of speed ran a lot of their marketing. We heard from PH Brazil over on Femi Boards and on his podcast last month that Nintendo was moving some presentations up to August to make space for something, and it seems like that is what is happening because usually mid-September is when Nintendo has their big September Direct, but we didn't get that this year. We got a partner showcase and an indie world on the same day in late August, followed by Zelda previews, Mario Party previews, a new Zelda trailer, new Mario Party trailers or, commercial snippets, new Mario and Luigi Brothership information. Just a ton of stuff crammed into a very small period, leaving the middle of September open for some reason, right? Maybe it's not Switch 2, maybe it's something else entirely, but I just find that very, very peculiar. There's also other things like Level 5 rescheduled their event that was delayed from April, which is around the time we originally expected the Switch 2 to be revealed. They rescheduled that for September 24th, which is, I believe, when TGS starts, so TGS is right around the corner. Announcing it before TGS just makes the most sense, because my thing is, like, okay, they could announce it in October, like first week of October, second week of October, but at the same time, if they're ready, if they have all the stuff ready that they need to get going with the reveal for the Switch 2, there is no benefit to doing it in October versus right now before TGS. Doing it before TGS lets developers talk openly about what games they're planning on bringing to the Switch 2, and that simply makes more sense. I mean, yeah, they can do that afterwards, right? Like, Capcom can have their big Monster Hunter Wilds presentation or something at TGS in September, and then 3 weeks later, talk about how it's coming to Switch 2, but I feel like now is the right time. Now is the right time to announce this console, especially after the PS5 Pro reveal. Get Sony right in the gut after that $700 price tag on the PS5 Pro. I know they're not necessarily directly competing markets right there. That's a very niche, high-end product, whereas the Switch 2 will be more of a mass market product. It still would look very good for Nintendo to come out with a console that is probably, $400 to $450 max against a PlayStation hardware that was just announced for $700. Like, so I really feel like next week just makes the most sense. Like, it would be the best case scenario for Nintendo to announce it next week. But we do have some more information from a couple of insiders or other reliable people that I wanted to talk about today because I feel like it just adds more fuel to the fire. So first up, we'll be taking a look at this Paul Gale Network tweet. He said here, "I cannot verify this firsthand, but something huge just came my way. Supposedly, quite recently, a trailer-like commercial was filmed to promote a certain next-generation console. If this is indeed the case, I think we are 1 to 6 weeks away from a reveal." Now, here's the thing with this Paul Gale Network tweet. He's using a lot of maybes and ifs and what ifs, right? Like, that's not the most confident tweet I've ever read, and frankly, I am not that familiar with Paul Gale Network's track record. However, while talking on Andre's Restart stream last night, he did bring something to my attention that I actually remember seeing back in 2017. Paul Gale Network was in a Nintendo Switch trailer from before the Switch came out. It was like the Experience Switch Anywhere or whatever that trailer was called, where they kind of just set up the Switches in like weird locations. I think it's Switch in unexpected locations or something like that. Paul Gale Network was in that trailer. So looking beyond any other things that he has said in the past, it is very possible, in my opinion, that someone who was in a trailer for a Nintendo product before it released in the past may have some sort of connection about the next trailer for the next console, right? Maybe that's a stretch. If you don't want to believe this piece of information, that's totally up to you. But I find it very interesting that this is coming out right now, especially because we also had Nate Drake saying he heard something maybe a little bit similar on a Reset Era, so I'll pull this up here as well. And once again, he's not extremely confident in this, but he said, "Have a feeling this is the same thing I was sent a month ago, but the info is very, very difficult to verify. There was one bit of information that I've been waiting to see if it appears in a game trailer, as it would help verify the information further, but the game in question has not had a new trailer release yet." So basically, he got information from someone about potentially the Switch 2 reveal trailer, as well as some unrelated game to Switch 2, just an entirely different game, some piece of information from the same person that he's been waiting to see to help verify and validate the other thing that he heard from the same person. So he's been waiting for that, but that has not happened yet. But I find it very interesting that we have this tweet from Paul Gale Network saying he's heard that the trailer has been filmed, and then we have Nate Drake here saying he heard about it about a month ago, which leads us into August. Now, why is that important? Well, if you go back to 2016, the Switch trailer, as far as we know, was recorded in mid-September. So about a month before it was actually shown to the world, shown to the public in October when they actually finally unveiled the NX as Nintendo Switch. We know that because one of the people that was in that trailer, if you remember, they had that whole segment where they were like plotting out like some Splatoon strategies in the Switch reveal trailer. One of the actors in that scene actually did an interview with GameXplain, and in that interview he said they recorded it in mid to late September, I believe. So if Nate Drake and Paul Gale Network's information is reliable, that means this trailer was probably filmed or was filming about a month ago. We are at that point. We are officially, if that is true, we are officially at the same time period or the same time apart from the filming of the trailer to when the thing should be shown, if they follow a similar cadence to what they did with the Switch. And I feel like that's not something you want to sit on, right? If Nate Drake's right, if Paul Gale Network's right, if the Switch 2 trailer was filmed back in August, even if it was like the last week of August, that is not something that Nintendo will want to sit on, because that is a ticking time bomb waiting for someone to leak it. They will not sit on the Switch 2 finished edited film trailer for, 3 months, 4 months. That is something that you record, you have it locked up in a vault, and then you get it out as soon as possible. And with all of these other things, them opening up September, seemingly for no reason, right? With all of these other factors, I feel like it just makes so much sense, and this just it just lines up. You can call it confirmation bias if you want, but to me, I look at this and I'm like, that's pretty interesting, huh? But we did have another insider in there. So going back to Paul Gale Network's tweet, at the end of it, he says, if this is indeed the case, I think we are 1 to 6 weeks away from the reveal. Now, we tweeted that on September 10th. Now, of course, we're all expecting it next week, but there are still some people saying October. There are also some people saying it's not going to be until next year. I think that's just wrong at this point, but ideally that will not be the case. But he's saying 1 to 6 weeks away. Now, what's interesting is we had another insider with, I think, a more dubious track record with Necro Felipe. He said something interesting in the Reset Era thread. So someone posted saying, recently filmed, that means it's likely mid to late October, saying that's when they'll reveal the console. Necro Felipe from Universal Nintendo said, earlier than that. So supposedly he's heard something that indicates to him that the Switch 2 will be revealed before mid-October. And if we're talking next week versus the first week of October, like I was saying earlier, next week simply makes more sense to get it out ahead of TGS. Like, can you imagine how annoyed like Square Enix or Capcom or Bandai Namco would be? Nintendo waits until the week after TGS to announce this new console that I assume most major Japanese third-party developers are going to want to support day one, right? Like, that'd be kind of like, that'd almost be like petty or something. It doesn't feel right. Like, you want to get that out ahead of TGS so that they can all openly talk about it and talk about how excited they are. That's just good press for Nintendo to have it announced before TGS so those developers can talk about it. And like I said, yes, they can talk about it later, but I feel like having it at TGS, or not having the console at TGS, but like having it announced beforehand so that those developers can really talk about it openly just makes the most sense. And then also they can talk more openly with third-party developers about it at TGS, right? Like, let's say you're a smaller Japanese developer. That way, once it's announced, yeah, they're not going to have to hide it anymore. They can actually just talk to you about it without being afraid of a smaller Japanese developer leaking it, right? So I was already on board with next week, but seeing this come out from Paul Gale Network and then Nate Drake corroborating it, and then Necro Felipe saying it's happening earlier than mid-October, I really do feel like next week is the week. Now, there is something kind of interesting going on over on Nintendo of America's Twitter account today where they have not tweeted at all today. And I want to shout out this user on Famiboards who realized or noticed that the last time Nintendo of America went a full day without tweeting, we got the Nintendo Museum Direct the next day. So as of right now, there are quite a few people on Switch 2 watch almost expecting it tonight. I don't know if I would go that far. I think it is much likelier that while yes, it is true that Nintendo has done marketing and tweeted stuff and released games, even with Mario Maker on 9/11 in the past, I think it is likelier that they are just, paying their respects to those we lost on 9/11 and they don't want to tweet today. I think that is the likelier scenario, but I wanted to include it here because I know a lot of people are watching their Twitter account like hawks right now, waiting for some sort of tweet later today. But I wanted to include that. I don't really think it means anything, but yes, Nintendo of America's social media account has been extremely inactive today, which is peculiar, right? Especially because they have in the past tweeted on 9/11. So that's just a little weird, but I don't really think it means anything. I think they are just being respectful, like I said, but maybe not. We'll see. Now, something else I wanted to talk about is this new report from Deal Labs and Bill Kuhn. Now, if you missed what I talked about in a video a couple days ago, Bill Kuhn and Deal Labs had reported that there was a Mario Wonder OLED bundle coming out for the holiday that would supposedly be announced and released pretty soon. But since then, Bill Kuhn has come back and listed out a lot more bundles that are going to be releasing seemingly this year for the holiday season as Nintendo tries to clear out all of their old Switch stock and just kind of, get all these things on store shelves so that they will sell with a more appealing bundle, right? A lot of these have games. So reading through the Deal Labs article, and I'll have this link down below, of course, Nintendo Switch, we probably have the complete table of upcoming hardware releases in Europe. So this is all for Europe, although usually the bundles kind of carry over. I think last year there was like a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe OLED bundle that America didn't get, but usually the bundles release in a lot of the same territories. So he has now heard about 5 new Nintendo Switch bundles coming this year, this holiday season, which is what I think I expected anyway. I think a lot of us expected Nintendo to be very aggressive this year if they are trying to hit their 13 million sales forecast by March 31st for the Switch. It kind of makes sense that they're going to be very, very aggressive with bundling old Switch hardware with games to just sell as many as possible. I mean, no matter how you view it, this is going to be the last holiday season where the Switch is Nintendo's only console. So this will be the final, the biggest final bang, basically, of Switch sales. They're going to go as hard as possible. I'm still, kind of expecting a price drop, maybe, but based on what we're seeing from this article, maybe not here. So first off, they'll be bringing back the Switch Lite Animal Crossing bundles that we had last year. In fact, I think in America, they honestly might still be available because it was a Target and Walmart exclusive for this Timmy and Tommy edition turquoise Switch Lite that has Animal Crossing New Horizons, and then the pink coral console Isabelle Aloha edition that came with New Horizons and 12 months of Switch Online. Did the other ones come with 12 months of Switch Online? I'm actually not sure. No, I think they came with 3 months. So this is a bit of a different bundle here, but it is, once again, them repurposing stock they already had. But yeah, that makes sense. Animal Crossing, obviously a big seller, right? People will be jumping on the opportunity to buy that for, $200 with a game included, right? So those make sense to bring back. I'm pretty sure they did pretty well last year. But then they carry on here. We announced to you a few days ago that a new Nintendo Switch OLED pack was going to be launched soon in Europe. This pack will contain a Switch OLED console in white, a download code for the game Super Mario Bros. Wonder, as well as a 3-month subscription of Nintendo Switch Online. And following our latest investigations, it seems that this is just one element among many others that are about to be released by Nintendo. We detail on what follows and exclusively all our recent discoveries. 5 new Nintendo Switch packs will be released very soon. So, and according to our information, no less than 5 new Nintendo Switch products are about to be released soon in Europe. These products will mostly be packs including already existing consoles, namely the Switch Lite, and the OLED model of Switch. So like I already covered, the 2 Animal Crossing bundles will be repurposed with a 12-month subscription of Switch Online. I'm looking on Google Images here. I see one from Europe that had 3 months of Switch Online, so I do believe this is technically a new bundle, a new SKU, if you will, but it is, the same repurposed special edition from last year. Then they're going to have a Nintendo Switch Sports Pack in Europe this year. Contains a Nintendo Switch console with the neon blue and red Joy-Con, a pre-installed copy of Switch Sports, and once again, 12 months of Nintendo Switch Online. So that's interesting. They're really getting you in on Switch Online with these bundles. They want you to have that full year, and hopefully, I guess, carry over if you buy Switch 2 the next year or whatever the case may be. Just get you really in to Nintendo Switch Online. And then there's going to be 2 Nintendo Switch OLED bundles this year. Now, one of them, of course, is the Mario Wonder bundle for €349, and then the other one, they are not aware of the contents, but new Nintendo Switch OLED bundle, contents unknown for now, €349. So nothing like that groundbreaking here. And they also note that apparently last year there was a Switch Sports bundle in Europe. I was actually not aware of that, but they actually note it is different from the one that released in September of last year because that one contained 3 months of Switch Online, whereas this one contains 12 months, which is similar to what's happening with the Animal Crossing one. So they're just it's a better deal, right? You're getting that full year as opposed to 3 months. I mean, a full year of Switch Online is only like, what, $20-30, so not like a huge savings or anything, but that does make sense. But here's the most important part of this. Regarding the first 3 Switch and Switch Lite packs mentioned above, and still according to our information, the announcement date is scheduled for September 12th or 13th. The release date is set for September 19, 2024. So that's very interesting. Now, the release date of September 19, 2024, you can look at that and say, well, they're not going to announce the Switch 2 the same day they're releasing all of these bundles, and I guess that's fair. But announcing them this week in particular is just another thing that, in my opinion, is just them getting them out of the way for something next week, right? It makes no sense to have all of this information coming out and having that whole week completely cleared right before TGS if they have nothing else to show next week. Now, maybe it's not Switch 2, maybe it's something else entirely. That could be, I guess. Maybe it's another game. I'm still coping on the other November game train, but I do think that it is very peculiar that we are expecting these Switch Lite bundles and these Switch bundles for the holidays to be announced on September 12th or 13th, so this week, and then They're releasing next week on the 19th, which, to be fair, 19th is the Thursday. That's just when Nintendo releases stuff. I don't think that they really holds any other significance. That's when a lot of us are expecting the Switch 2 to be revealed. But, I mean, it could be the 17th. It could be the 18th. I mean, it could even be the 20th, right? That's Friday. But I do think 19th makes the most sense. That's when Nintendo likes to make their big announcements, although they do change quite a bit. Sometimes it's Tuesday, sometimes it's Wednesday. So, really in that 3-day period. But here's the thing, and I already know there's going to be a lot of comments being like, well, Nintendo isn't going to announce the Switch 2 when announcing all of these bundles or when releasing all of these bundles for the Switch. And I hear you. I understand the idea that they don't want to hurt their holiday sales by announcing Switch 2, but I think that logic is inherently flawed because the person that is going to buy a Switch 2 next year is not the same person that is going to buy the Animal Crossing Lite bundle for $200 that includes the New Horizons and a year of Switch Online. They are not the same market. The person that has waited this long to buy a Switch Lite is not going to buy a Switch 2 next year. These Switch Lites, for example, really focusing on those are going to be bought as Christmas presents for like young kids, like 7-year-old kids, 10-year-old kids, right? Those parents are not going to be buying a Switch 2 for their kids next year. So I really, truly do not think that a new bundle release or a better deal of a bundle releasing this holiday season really changes things at all. Because like I said, we were all expecting these, or at least I've been expecting a bunch of bundles this year because, like I said, if Nintendo wants to hit that 13 million sales forecast for the Switch this year, they have to be aggressive. Now, if Bill Coon's to be believed, and the prices that they have listed here are accurate, right? So like $219 for the Switch Lite bundles, $299 for the Switch Sports bundle, and then $349 for the OLED models, that is not as aggressive as even I was expecting, because I was expecting some sort of price drop. It seems that Nintendo is very stern on just not dropping the price of the Switch. I guess I was wrong about that, but they're being more aggressive with the bundling, right? They're including a full year now of Switch Online. So I just really don't think that this changes anything. You can disagree with me if you want, but I really, truly do not think that this really changes that much. But maybe I'm crazy, man. Maybe all the Switch 2 hype for next week is just false smoke, but I do believe it is happening next week. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you agree or do you disagree? And if you do disagree, why? I'm just curious, like, what is like the thinking of why it wouldn't be next week? I understand that the Switch was announced in October, and that's totally valid. And like I said earlier, it could be announced like the first week of October. But given everything else that has happened surrounding this month, I feel like next week just does make the most sense. So we'll have to wait and see. That is going to do it for today's video. Of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch news, reviews, discussions, all of that fun stuff. It's going to be a very fun, exciting time over the next couple of weeks. Even if it isn't announced, like, you know, I was going to these things expecting a little bit of disappointment. So, like, if it doesn't happen, it's just like, okay, well, it's going to happen eventually, right? Like, the latest it could be is March 31st. That's really not that long in the grand scheme of things. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, it's just fun to get hyped. I know people like to be Debbie Downers. They like to be party poopers, if you will. But I think it's just fun to get hyped up and just go into it knowing, like, okay, if this doesn't happen, I don't need to, you know, throw a hissy fit on Twitter. That's my thing, right? Like, don't go into this, you know, hyped up, and then if it doesn't happen, you get like super angry and like start calling out developers and stuff. Like, people always do this weird stuff. And I'm like, man, what are you doing? So yeah, don't do that. But hype responsibly, I guess. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video. Of course, subscribe here, more Nintendo Switch content. Follow me on Twitter @BoTalksGames. Check out my other channel @It'sAmiibo. And until next time, folks, peace.